All right, here we go again. Buckle up. So, you're going to have to do something to stop the nonsense. The first thing I would do is on every federal law enforcement page, I would explain the use of masks. Obviously, Mexico was the first place to use the masks, and they did that because of the doxing. So, again, explain also that anybody that is coming against the mask and knowingly comes against the mask is not only impeding and obstructing law enforcement, they are also empowering and are co-conspirators to those that are attempting to harm law enforcement based upon gaining identification of that law enforcement officer. The appropriate action of government is to negotiate a system that I described. I made it easy. You want a phone number to call to verify federal officers on scene. They shouldn't even have to pull out their creds. It's very simple for government to do this. You don't even have to send officers unless you so desire. You have a control room somewhere, somebody calls in, they call with a phone number. Here, if you have doubts about some law enforcement operation going on in our state, call this number. A person is there, and they say, okay, well, who do they say they're from? They say they're ICE. Okay, we'll call. They may not even say, oh, I don't know who they are. They look like they're banditos. You know you're a bandito. And you know your buddies are banditos. And you know you paid in to the Democratic Party system of bribery. And you know you've been protected for years from arrest and deportation because you paid a criminal bribe, or your bosses did. They got clout. You could actually even get people harassed from Olathe PD and Overland Park PD and Lenexa PD. You know your clout. But again, on the federal pages, explain the system. Make public notice of why those masks exist, case history of doxing, and that's it. Every once in a while, you can speak on it if you desire, such as saying, we have the explanation on all our websites as to why masks are being used. It's nice that you can call something lawful some term that you've dirtied. Remember, there is no enforcement of immigration law within the United States, within the interior of the United States, besides ICE. That's it. So what they're telling you is, once they're creating the incentive, once you get past Border Patrol, which they don't even want Border Patrol, then you've made it home free. You get to run a criminal enterprise just like the rest of them. But make sure you bribe the Dems. They're your cover. And that includes some local police departments and state. State of Kansas is dirty. Pennsylvania, don't let it be you. Jussie Smollett was a nobody in the world of fraudulent allegations. He just simply said somebody did it. These people say it's that person. It's that person. No kings. They're kings, man. They're worse than kings. They're feuers. Democratic Party people in the community are feuers. Republicans have some also. They work together. Neither are Democrat or Republican. They're simply Nazi criminals. Some are Jewish. Some are Arabic. and Islamic. They pay the show me the money game or show me the remuneration. It's not always money. So we're going to end the game. Explain everything to them in clear and concise language and put it on your websites. There is no enforcement. There's no arresting Trent D'Arega. There's no arresting the nephew of the Trent D'Arega that enables the Trent D'Arega that doesn't have official membership and doesn't have official criminal history, but is a known enabler of narcotics distribution, sex trafficking, strong arming, murder for hire. There's nobody else. Your police department that takes money to harass disabled veterans? What a joke. Your police department does nothing but empower the people that pay in to the Democratic Party graft system, grift system, bribe system. So again, notice you're not allowed to draft laws that knowingly come against federal officers. You're not allowed. Because it is a criminal conspiracy to obstruct justice. It's not a difference of opinion. Didn't your lawyers tell you it was unlawful? Do you have any honest lawyers? Or is the attorney general, of course he's in on it. How could they do it? That's why Christie's on the outs. He's part of that New Jersey system of graft and grift and empowering of criminal enterprise and strong arming. No kings my ass. You all think you're kings before you are even kings. But you're not kings. You're oppressors. You're strong armors. You're violent criminals. Empowering a bribery system that enables sex traffickers. I'd go up New Jersey right now. I could drive over. I'm not that far now. I could drive over New Jersey. I could turn the camera on my car and show you where the sex trafficking is if your officers can't see it. I can drive by. I don't have to go in. I can drive by and go, there's one, there's one. You take the money from one organization and arrest the others to make yourselves look good while you're taking that money. Right. You actually enforce for criminal enterprise there, New Jersey cops. Now your governor wants you to enforce to the next level. They got stupid videos out there of New Jersey state troopers and photos arresting federal officers. If we don't hide their identity, it could happen because there'll be 100 PIs paid $100,000 each to take out their favorite federal officer, psychologically, physically, and metaphysically. We're not stalking the officer, we're investigating. And you know what? When they say it so shitty, you realize they're like F law enforcement. Cops in Kansas were obviously hating on real law enforcement. Why? Because they're crooks, career criminals, organized crime, racketeering. You can trace, here's Oklahoma. You can trace, now that man may have committed those sex crimes. I don't have specific evidence. And the investigation that I kind of moved psychologically went either way. But there's no doubt that the officers involved in the case knew there's something screwy about the case after the case. In other words, they were stuck in the mind of the deep state. So even if he committed the crimes, it's still a deep state criminal enterprise hit, which means this. They operated him into it. Now, why? His father and their police department didn't play the games that Oklahoma City played. You can't buy in to their police department and their community and deal dope and traffic sex. So they went after one of their sons who was on the Oklahoma City Police Department. The worst thing he ever did was join Oklahoma City Police Department. If he joined, what was that other city? I don't remember. One of the outlying cities, such as that one, he'd have been safe. Now, I wouldn't say, what was that place? Edmond? I wouldn't say Edmond's safe. It's too close. Right. But what was that city his father worked for? See if I can get it this way. All right, I'll go this way. Daniel Holtzclaw, father worked for what police department? Enid. If you want to see a police department that was, I wouldn't say completely honest, no police department, nobody on the planet's even honest. Let me say it that way. Right. However, if you want to see a police department that's pretty much honest in the era of the deep state, that's, I mean, their arrest record should have been Oklahoma City's arrest record, but it wasn't. It was just one organization after another tumbling. And if it's happening in Enid, it should have been happening in Oklahoma City. You have to understand, they're not taking care of people. Go, well, we're liberals and no. They're ruining lives and getting rich off those ruined lives. That's what's happening in Philly and Kensington. Those people you see dazed and confused on the street should be working in a factory, should be working as an accountant, should be working as a law enforcement officer. They care not for the truth. So again, explain to these people what's going on. It's the first part of your counter obstruction operations is to explain the masks, to explain that there's nobody within the interior of the United States to enforce immigration law. We enforce immigration law because we're not going to be Mexico and sit there and lie to the world that everything's great here and we reduce crime and it's wonderful here. All we have to do is allow them to manufacture narcotics and everything will be rosy. That's the scam they play. I doubt any statistics coming out of that Mexican government has any semblance of reality and truth. The same thing to those communists up in New York, liars. They want to take over and own everything and say, you get this and you don't get this. That's all it is. You do what I say, what Bernie says, and you get. You don't do what Bernie says, you don't get. And that's possibly the truth of his state. But they're not going to tell you because they don't want to lose. They want to be the oppressor. They don't want to be the oppressed. And that's what's going on our borders. They're coming here to be the oppressor. They don't want to be the oppressed. Too bad. You just lost big. So what's happening so you understand, is they launched a case that is contrary to the Supreme Court's decision. They started it all again in a lower court. And they engaged in one of those instant rulings, restraining order or one of the other orders. The preliminary injunction. And it's contrary to what the Supreme Court just said. So what they're doing is they're going to, well, you got to wait another 6 months. No, you don't. You fast track at the Supreme Court. And if that son of a gun who canceled, who canceled, one of the Republicans kind of canceled fast tracking. Well, we got to wait until it gets up here. No, we don't. If you made a ruling and these Democrats are violating your ruling with a corrupt judge, don't call him an activist. He's corrupt. She's corrupt. Working for foreign nationals and foreign governments. If they come against a ruling that the Supreme Court already ruled on, you fast track it and you tell the Supreme Court in as nice a terms as you need to, bullshit. We're not waiting. In fact, you need to investigate a Supreme Court justice if they keep slowing down those type of fast tracks. We are not here to let you cower in that position because some foreign government like Iran is extorting you. Get the hell out. Resign. Same thing in my workplace. Same thing in the government in 2000, 2005. Same thing. We'll do whatever they say. Good, we'll give you money now. And position, and we'll say you're the best of the best. If they didn't sell out, I'd have had a great life. Spent decades psychologically torturing me and adulterating me. While giving criminals a pass for remuneration. So the first part of counter obstruction operations is explain your system. And in it, say, I'm only going to explain this to you through this media, and every once in a while I'll speak about it, but you've been put on notice. These are prosecutable crimes. They will not approve of the SAVE Act because it stops the replacement theory. They're not only replacing you as a voter, they're replacing you in a community of people that would call the police on strong arming, on narcotics distribution, on sex trafficking. They don't want you to stop that. They just want to yell, Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Meanwhile, you drive down a major thoroughfare in their communities, there's sex trafficking everywhere. But don't let somebody that knows Trump go in there because they'll get busted. Right. That's what they're there for, partially. If one of their victims goes in there because they've sexualized them for 10, 20, 30 years, then they go in and bust it. They go, I got him. Give us our money. That is the State of the Union. The second part of counter obstruction operations is charging, arresting, and convicting. That's the only system that's going to work. Educate based upon the law, and even tell them, say, look, you're saying no ICE. That means no enforcement, zero enforcement. These people agreed to enforcement. Do you understand? Every one of these people that says they have a right to stay here agreed to leave. They agreed to leave when they came here. At the leisure of the Attorney General, essentially. They have no rights to stay here. It was a probation. You have no right to stay out of prison when you're on parole and probation, or parole they call it. You have no right to stay out of prison when they give you parole. Any day they order you back to jail, you go back to jail. They're not here. It's kind of like this way. You give them the right to stay here until such a time that it's terminated. That's it. There's no rights in the program. Actually, parolees have more rights. They have to agree to the program to get through the border. The documents they sign says they'll leave. Right. They would not be here on any type of parole or application for amnesty if they didn't agree to leave if they were asked to leave. That's pretty much why it's where it is. The judges finally got off their asses, the Supreme Court, and said, no, you can't stop it. They're obviously gaming the system. They're obviously taking over the United States and reducing the quality of life here. That's obvious. But of course, Bernie's got his money. The poor man Bernie can walk in any city in the United States, get a free hotel room. I guarantee it if he wants. Not to say that he does. But of course, he don't pay for it. Whatever system he's in pays for it. Again, it's hidden kingship, hidden queenship. So the first part of counter obstruction operations to explain what you're doing and how the system works. The second part is to put actually part of the first part is to put them on notice that it's a crime to even make a law that obstructs federal immigration operations with the intention to do so. We know that you're intentional. Well, when you draft the law, you say something else. But again, if a bank robber tells me that he robbed or she robbed the bank because he was testing or she was testing security or trying to protect the community from a bank that was ripping off people, it doesn't work because there's laws that says that it doesn't work. If you tell me you want to obstruct and make unsafe federal officers with your police department, it's no longer a police department. And what's happening in the mind is they're going, this is all the stuff that you said that they were doing to you. Now they're doing it to us. Of course. I told you that years ago. You either stop it now or it's going to take everything over. I guarantee they're trying to get other federal officers to condemn ICE. If you weren't obstructing ICE operations in the street, it would have been much quieter, and that's already been proven on the internet. Still masked, still suited up the way they always suit up. But when you're not around Democratic Party, Communist Party, jihadists, then everything goes quiet. Isn't that funny? That needs to be presented to every court where they bring it up, that they're simply helping people. They're helping the person being detained out of safety, security, and sanity, if you've seen some of those videos. Now, you see that happening in the airport, right? Oh, she's got a kid. You didn't give a shit about U.S. citizen kids. You didn't give a shit when you ruined my life that I had kids. Well, we were protecting your wife and your kids. No, you weren't. You were working for remuneration. They took my wife out first so they could turn her against me. I had healed my wife of all the problems she had from growing up in an abusive life. I mean, still had a little bit, but not much. And they found out, and they triggered it, and kept triggering it. They kept harassing her and focusing her on me. And every time I was around my kids, and I would take them to church and other places when I wasn't working, because I worked a lot of hours, my kids would start speaking about people saying ching chong. They were Korean. So they set their own kids on my kids as part of the psychological operation. But when I wasn't around, nobody said ching chong. That's how they brainwashed my kids against me and other things. So again, I told you this years ago, when you see bully families, it usually means deep state. But of course, the cops aren't going to investigate it that way because they're part of it. Because they got the stupid cop to go have sex with somebody in a squad car or her squad car. And now they sold out because they don't want nobody to know. It was a setup from the beginning. And if you do what I said, you would have busted them before they did it to her or did it to him. Right. So the government of New Jersey is no doubt deep state, working for foreign powers and a foreign takeover of the United States. That's why our money leaves the United States now. It has been for quite some time. That's why they hate Trump. They call that a good thing. He's in the middle of the good thing, just like Moore was. The good thing is safety, security, and free enterprise, not you own enterprise. You don't do what the communists want, you get nothing. There's people I guarantee in California think they were just, I just didn't qualify for disability. You didn't get disability because you're not a hack for Newsom and his cronies. You didn't get SNAP because you're not a hack for Newsom and his cronies. You didn't get that state job because you're not a hack for Newsom and his cronies. They cut off the federal funds, they would crash because you're not seeing what actually is going on with the federal funds. They're paying taxes, but what are they paying federal taxes with? The federal funds they're embezzling. Right. It's like a Ponzi scheme. Federal benefits in California is like a Ponzi scheme. It just keeps pay your taxes, and then we get federal funds to rip off again. Right. You remember, counter obstruction. Put on your websites all the information you need to put on. Every once in a while, tell them it's on the website. Maybe every once in a while, say a little bit of it. This is to keep our officers safe. We have provided a system and provide a system. Call this phone number. Tell us a location. And an agency, if you can, a federal clearinghouse for federal operations. They can contact it and it'll tell them who they are as far as agency. That's it. If you want a badge number, maybe we can give that to you. I would give them a surreptitious badge number, and I don't mean that as I do. Again, they're going to play games with their wills. Surreptitious can, in that, I guess surreptitious is a bad term, and that's what they're trying to do. Well, they're doing it. Give them a different badge number that they can't use against the officer, but identifies the officer. Give a number assigned to that operation and the officers. So if they call in, that's operation so-and-so, the agency is so-and-so, and the officers' numbers are 157 and 628, and have a date. So and tell them when they record it, record the date, because the date will be that number, will mean something. I mean, you could research it and still find it out, but tell them to record the date of the operation when you give them the information, because the information is tied to the date and time. If they not going to give your state police are corrupt all across the country. How do you think they do this? They need somebody like federal and state. Can't do it with just a local PD. Give the names of our officers, just so you can give it to your corrupt PIs, even some working out of Michigan exploited children. That's the scam. Get position. Put our people into position with status. I've been on CBS 10 times this month, telling lies to confuse the Guthrie organization or Guthrie investigation organizations. Right. Some of those PIs, that's all they're doing. They're out there to confuse it. Somebody's paying money to hide whoever abducted Nancy Guthrie. Otherwise, it would have been already solved. And that ain't the first case that they did that. Right? Remember, Epstein was a Democrat. Buck was a Democrat. They couldn't have done what they did. Ed Buck is similar to Epstein, but it was black males or something. And it was a little more heinous because it was a little more. I mean, Epstein probably some narcotics, but this was heavy narcotics. He killed, I guess, a couple of them with overdoses of meth, I think. Ed Buck and Epstein couldn't do what they did without the protection and cover of a criminal and corrupt Democratic Party. Now it's all, well, we're the new Democrats. We're the Omar money machine. Right. They had everybody going for a few years, and they had credit in it. That these were the new Democrats. They're not like the old Democrats, but guess what? They appear to be worse than the old Democrats. I tell everybody, including Ilhan Omar and her people, be careful. The deep state will set you up and own you. Right. If I went into Minnesota, if I moved, I didn't do the investigation. I tried to get north up there. I couldn't. Maybe they're too protected, right? Not for the investigation, just to see if I can live a peaceful life. I guarantee if with what I see, if I moved in, the Somalis would have been used to strong arm me. And there's probably others. I mean, the narco communities, the narcotics using communities. There are people that were paid in narcotics to do that to me. I mean, it's that blatant. They didn't even try to hide it by saying, "Oh, they're good people. Here's some money." They said, we got an evidence vault to pay people." That's the way it is, man. It's a real world. That made you cops? Those are the cops you all like. Those are the ones that are in the news that you all like. Actually, it's not too bright now. I have no idea what the hell happened here. I guess at night it's brighter. I can't make it less bright. Actually, we could do it now. Yeah, try to extort me in the mind. That's weird. No, it's not too bright. I can't figure this out. Watching. Oh, it's the wrong one. Maybe at night it is too bright. Yeah, the green's pretty bright. This one, this green's bright in the blue. If I turned it to the side, that isn't too bright. If I turn it to the side, then it looks funky though. I got these little they look like vacuum tubes, so little bulbs. So if you want to have a cool colored world, but they never put a brightness circuit on the one that switches different colors. So you actually have to buy a blue one or a green one. The LED that switches colors is just too bright at night. But they're pretty cool. Yeah, they might work for you get like a red one. Remember the red flashlight? I don't even know if that works. If you need to, I think they can penetrate that now, the red flashlight. I think the red color was harder to see or something by night vision or something. I don't even remember what it was. Before we went to Desert Storm, and we had like very early generation night vision, I got a primer on what insurgents would see. Kind of, because we were, I forget what we were doing. It was some sort of war we were involved in. I was with a scout Bradley in front of me, and we were the engineers. I forget what we were doing, but we were driving to do some sort of mission. I don't remember what it is, but through the night vision, I could see everybody, or not everybody, but every position. So simple. I even in some of the vehicles, I knew where the cupula was, and I knew it was open. That was before Desert Storm. So I went down. We hit whatever it was. We had to do. We hit wherever the mission was supposed to be, and all the troops were sleeping. I told them, I'm like, you can chill, but none of that, well, you can't be ready in like a few seconds. They can even sleep, but they can't take their boots off or anything like that. And I didn't have an NCO. It was just me. I didn't have I was team leader and and squad leader and everything. So he went to sleep down there. And I came back down and I started yelling at him. And then I hear in my head, I had my helmet on with my my commo stuff. I hear on the radio, I hear, whoever just said you have a hot mic. I'm chewing them out, So I see the cord going down out of the radio. So I grab the cord and I'm going to the end of it. And one guy, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but he was a hero. I think Mike got a Bronze Star in the war. Thanks to Sergeant Moore training. So I grabbed the mic up underneath his ass and I take it and I wing it at his helmet in the head. Sitting on a mic. He was one of the guys that I directed towards the. I was one of the first people to see that the bunkers weren't cleared. And we were the engineers. We weren't supposed to see non-cleared bunkers. We were supposed to blow the bunkers up as they were cleared, if we were to, assign that. So we realized that we could all been killed pretty quick there. But these are mostly people that were taken off the streets. They took them off the streets, they put them in uniform, and then sent them to the front to be, to meet the initial force. So there was little or no resistance. They grenaded like one bunker, and after that was it. They wouldn't come out. I think it was mostly fear that they wouldn't come out. Because when we had the guy that we took prisoner, and he explained it to us. Right. Well, that's it for that, really. There isn't much to counter obstruction operations other than putting the information out and then enforcing it. I mean, you've said enough that it's about doxing. I mean, they can use their surreptitious language, but in a courtroom, surreptitious language usually doesn't, as you can see, usually doesn't go anywhere. Right. But I would use an operation specific number to identify the officers. I would not give up badge numbers, not at this stage of the game. Right. Well, because like I explained it to you, it's not one thing and one person or one group of people that move the deep state against me. They're paying members. So it's along the way, anybody can do it. So if they get their badge number, that's it. They put them in a database of crooked PIs. Right. And then they make merchandise for the person. Right. That's the problem is the private investigation ranks are not kept up. They're not investigated. The laws aren't enforced. And again, the way because I investigated everything to just try to figure out, again, I didn't go, oh, it's missing and exploited children. Imagine that. It took a while to figure that out. Right. Well, part of when you begin to read, okay, so I had no idea how they started missing exploited children. I had no concern of that. It's not something I would normally, or any officer would normally want to know. They just exist and we know it. Right. So when I noticed they were harassing me, I said, well, who are these people and what put them into place? So when you read it and you understand what the deep state is, you realize there may have been a valid reason to put them into place, but the deep state created it for corrupt purposes. Right. That's generally what you'll see. Like disruption operations. When I started speaking about them, then they, came up above board about them and made them some sort of investigative procedure. But there's limitations on those things, no matter what they call them. Right. But then they go, oh, we're saving children. No, they're not. Right. Right. So it's even to the point of missing exploited children using their system for corrupt criminal purpose. One of the strongest extortion mechanisms is for you This is what they did. They showed me how the truth doesn't matter at all. Not at all. I mean, everybody could know the truth, and they're still going to go with whatever the deep state pushes. This is why I was still in the government. They're hoping for a suicide, of course. You get paid probably millions each. Probably got paid millions anyway. But well, the point is, if missing and exploited children is part of it, and it doesn't matter what the truth is, you can see the ramifications. So again, a lot of people won't come against something like that because they have no. Again, it's funny because they'll say, "Oh, that person's an empty suit. Oh, that person's," but they're all that, right? So again, if they took care of government before I went into it, then I wouldn't have had that happen to me. So it's really the people that came before me. And it took us how many years to even get to this part and to this point. Right. The money, man. Money talks, bullshit walks in their world. But again, that's not supposed to be law enforcement creed. Right. Right. So what I did is I researched California as far as the federal tax dole and all that. They do pay taxes, which says, okay, they're getting what they give, they put into the system. Then Hashem revealed they're stealing from the system. So of course they're paying tax only to get millions more when it comes back to them. The tax on their ill-gotten gains is much smaller than ill-gotten gains. So the system sees them putting, oh, look, they're putting tax money in. And then it comes back as more ill-gotten gains. It's like Ponzi almost. All right, I'm going to get offline here. I ranted. Well, if you want to call it a rant, fine. It's the greatest truth you're ever going to hear in this time period, maybe ever on the planet. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.